Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Cam Jennings coming at you on behalf of EpicConversions.com. Hope you're doing amazing out there. Today, I want to talk to you about organization. You know, it seems like a pretty mundane subject, but it was on my mind last night, and it's been on my mind this morning. I'll tell you a little bit about why. Because the thing is, even though this subject of organization seems very mundane, it's not really mundane. It's actually very, very important. A lot of people out there, I hear them, they say, I'm just not a very organized person. I'm kind of more of a creative or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak for how they operate. I feel like I'm more of a creative too. It's not easy for me to be organized. So I understand it from that perspective. But I don't understand it from the perspective of how you succeed or win without any organization. I'll give you an example. Just like me personally, I run 3 different membership programs. They all 3 have their own set of responsibilities that I have to deal with. And when I say deal with, I mean that loosely because it's a blessing. I put them together. I created those jobs, I created those responsibilities for myself, and they're relatively successful, so, I'm not complaining, don't think I'm complaining, but I'm just stating facts. I mean, they have their own responsibilities that come with them. I put out free content, as you guys can see. Right now I'm doing these little videos, but whether it's these little videos or something else, like I'm pretty much always hitting the market with free content. And there's reasons for that. But, on top of that, I'm keeping communication with my list 3 to 6 times a week. On top of that, I am releasing workshops and challenges here and there. On top of that, in 2024, I have big plans to go into print publishing. I've actually already got my first book, written, and it's ready to be sent off to the printer for print publishing. I'm going to publish 6 of those books this year, print published books. The other thing I'm doing in print publishing is a quarterly print newsletter. Right? First issue is going to come out in March. Actually, issue 0 is actually going to be shipped for the people who buy my first book that I'm publishing. They're going to get issue 0, that newsletter, for free when they buy the book. Just, as a way to, kind of like promote the print newsletter and all that stuff. But the point is, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. That's just for Epic Conversions. I'm not even counting, anything else I have going on, other projects that have nothing to do with Epic Conversions. That's just for my publishing business. That's just Epic Conversions. So, for me, I do feel like I'm more of a creative. And when I think about all that stuff in my mind, like, if I just leave it in my mind, it doesn't work. Like, I just want to, like cut everything off and just focus on one thing, Now, I mean, for me, I pull out a whiteboard. Like, I will map everything out, how it works, when am I doing this, when am I doing that, what's this supposed to look like in 3 months, what's that supposed to look like in 6 months. I gotta map everything out. And the more complex it is, the more detail my map gets. So, and then usually what I'll do is I'll do all this on a whiteboard, and then I'll snap a picture of the whiteboard. I know this sounds crazy, I'm just telling you what I do. I'll snap a picture of the whiteboard, I'll send it to my email, and then I'll usually recreate it on the computer or something. But it all starts just with me having a good understanding of the big picture of how everything fits together. And you know what? Sometimes I realize I have painted myself into a corner. There is too much stuff going on. Something does need to go. It's usually something that doesn't produce a lot of revenue. Usually, there's always a project or two that I've gotten myself involved with that started out as just me testing something new, and it ended up being a major time suck, and I'm still just doing it, you know? So that's why for me, like, I'm always like kind of like looking at my whole plan, and I'm organizing and reorganizing things depending on like what actually makes sense. Because that's another thing, you know, you make a plan to begin with, but there's a lot of difference between what looks good on paper and then once you start trying to act it out, once you start trying to actually do all this stuff, you know, there's a big difference. So sometimes things that look good on paper, you know, 2 months into it, like, it's just not fitting in anymore. So again, like for me, none of that really happens without organization. I need to see the big picture of what I'm working on. How does this particular project that I'm working on fit into the big picture of this business? I mean, I need to see that stuff. So when I hear people talking about like, I'm not an organizational person, I'm more of a creative, I hire people to handle the organization stuff, I don't understand that. I don't relate to that. To me, like, if you're hiring someone else to handle the organizational stuff, then how do you even know what the hell's going on in your business? You know, you're just running around here creating things. I don't know. I'm sure some of these people have found ways to make it work for them, or they're not explaining it quite right. But whenever I hear stuff like that, I always scratch my head because I don't understand that. But the reason I say it to you guys now is because I want you to understand how important organization is for me. And I don't consider myself necessarily a logical person. I do consider myself more of a creative. But it doesn't matter. I still got to have a high degree of organizational to make this whole thing work. I mean, it's a little like a juggling act, you know. As soon as you start adding a few balls, or you start juggling, you start adding a few plates or a few bowling pins, whatever you want to call it, now you need to know where everything's at all times. And some people might say, oh, well, that sounds really complicated. That sounds really, you know, stressful. I don't want to do that. I'm going to follow Joe Smo. His thing looks a lot easier. Go ahead. I'll tell you what, I've talked to a lot of Joe Schmoes. And a lot of the people out there who are putting little things on their sales page, making things sound all easy and stuff like that, I tell you one thing. There's two things happening. Either one, they're not telling you the whole picture. They're making everything look easier than it actually is. Or two, it's some kind of loophole that's not going to last. Now, if that's you want to chase loopholes, that's fine. Do whatever you want. I don't really care. I'm just telling you how my business works. I'm telling you how I do things, and it does require a degree of organization, and that's all there is to it. And I'm not speaking from someone who has I'm not speaking as someone who has everything mastered or as someone who has it all figured out. I don't have it all mastered. I've been doing this for over 10 years now. I don't have it all mastered. I don't have it all figured out. But I have some things figured out, and I know how to make money on the internet here, and everything that I do to make money requires a degree of organization. So, you know, and the funny thing is, you know, it sounds like common sense. It sounds like, yeah, of course you need to organize. Of course, dude, you're just speaking the obvious. But a lot of times you'll hear people say things that sound obvious, and then you'll see them say other things that don't jive with those things. You know, like People will say, oh, well, I'm more of a creative. I'm not an organizational person. I'm not a logical person. I hire someone to do that for me. Really? How'd you do it before you had the money to hire somebody for you? What did you do when, your business wasn't making any money? Did you hire someone? What did you do? Did you go into debt to hire someone to do that for you? I mean, there had to be at some point where you found a way to be organized. So I don't know. I just find it interesting because, again, like a lot of times I don't think people are telling you the whole story. They're making things sound like easy. They're making things sound fun. And I tell you, I love my business. It's not easy and it's not always fun, but I love it. And I do get a lot of satisfaction from my business. But to sit here and say that, I'm more of a creative and I don't have to be organized. I just hire someone to do that stuff for me. Kind of like, kind of pushing off the organizational and the logical stuff as like some kind of assistance job or something. Like that doesn't compute for me because I know how important it is. So anyways, those are just some of my thoughts this morning. Maybe that helps you, maybe it doesn't. I really don't know. That's kind of what was on my mind today. I can tell you right now, this is January, and when I get off this call, my first order of business is to set up a whiteboard and to organize again. And I did all this in December, but I'm doing it again because I want to know exactly what's going on. I've already started into the New Year stuff. What am I doing that doesn't need to be doing? I don't need to be doing. What am I doing not enough? I need to know where everything's at. What's going on this day? What's going on that day? I need to know that stuff. So, and again, I really don't understand how a business can be successful without that stuff. Not for like a sustainable period of time. That's what I'd say. So what's the lesson you can pull out of this? For me, it's just like about not underestimating how important organization is. It's very important. It's one of those things where people think, duh, but then they don't do it. They don't stay organized enough. They got like 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 things going on at once. They don't have it mapped out. When are you doing this? I know that because I've had clients before where I'm like, okay, well, how often do you make your list? Shrugging shoulders. Well, what kinds of emails are you sending out? I don't know. They don't know. It's like hit or miss. What's your strategy for distribution on your free content? I don't know. I don't have one. But these are people who think they're organized. They understand they need to be organized. They think they're organized, but like they can't answer these basic questions for me. So like that's not a serious person. Like they're not organized enough. So again, anyways, I'm not trying to shame anybody or anything like that. I'm just trying to explain to you the degree of organization that I feel like is required if you want to run an online business. There's a degree of organization that's required. You can't outsource it to somebody else. You have to know what's going on. It's your business. You have to understand what's happening. How are you going to hire somebody to do something that you don't even understand? How are you going to know if they're doing a good job? You don't even understand it. How are you even going to know? You're going to lose a bunch of money trying to find the right person. I guess it's going to be hit or miss, right? You're just going to keep on hiring and firing people until you get it right. I mean, that's stupid, man. It doesn't make sense. That sounds like a good way to send your business into the poorhouse. Anyways, the point is, organization's important. You need it. Stop trying to outsource it. You need to figure out a way to get organized with your stuff. So that's all I got. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you've resonated with this message, be sure to get over to Epic Conversions, sign up for my email list. Right? Because I feel like I put my best content out by email. All right? That's all I got. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.